Meanwhile, tensions boil over fast. Someone throws a rock and that's all it takes. One little rock and all hell breaks loose. Chaos erupts between the two sides and Mizuhashi doesn't survive it. Word spreads fast that Mizuhashi, the resistance leader who staked everything on shutting this place down, has been tortured and killed anyway, and her people don't wait for a trial. They grab weapons and storm the building for revenge, and the whole fragile ceasefire Maru and Kiruko help set up collapses in minutes. Inside, while the world outside starts burning, Usami is doing something far quieter, tending to ordinary requests, a squeaky prosthetic hand, a daughter who can't control her new grip strength, small, human maintenance from a man everyone insists on calling doctor, even though he never actually claims the title himself. Then someone asks him for something bigger. A woman named Hoshio, kept alive on machines for longer than anyone should have to be, is finally at her limit. And here's the detail that reframes everything this show has been building toward. Man-eaters aren't some alien species, and they never were. They're what's left of human beings who caught a specific incurable disease. You can slow it, amputate the infected tissue over and over, buy a little time. But eventually the body stops listening, and what's left either dies or becomes exactly the kind of monster Maru and Kiruko have been killing this entire journey. Usami asks Maru and Kiruko to let her die as a human instead of finishing the slow turn into a man-eater. Before any of that happens though, she has one last wish, to see the sky. She can't be moved without her life support, so they carry the whole setup outside with her, just those last 30 feet, so she can actually see it one more time. Once that's done, Maru uses the same ability that's killed every man-eater this whole journey, except this time it's not a monster on the other end of it, just someone who's already made peace with going. They see it through, quietly, exactly the way she asked for it, deliberately tender, right up until the building around them erupts into chaos because the mob outside has already broken through. Right before it happens, Hoshio types out her final message to Usami through the tablet wired to her, thanking him for the eye he gave her so she could see it all, thanking him for everything, and telling him she loves him. Usami, who stayed calm through everything up to that point, completely breaks down. In the scramble, a guard named Naito is killed confronting them. Usami, instead of running, insists on staying behind to give Hoshio a proper burial, and finally admits something that's been sitting under his whole persona this entire time. He's not actually a doctor. Years ago he built a prosthetic hand for someone he loved, on a whim, because it made her happy, and word just spread from there until an entire movement got built around a title he never claimed for himself. Turns out it wasn't a stray rock that killed Mizuhashi at all. Kuwata orchestrated it, had his own spy finish her off, then lied to the group that she died in the clash so he could seize control and redirect their rage at the Immortal Order. Once the building's his, he looks out over the abandoned power generators and sees exactly what he's been after. With this much power, I could start a new nation. No more childish factions, no more make-believe. And somewhere in that same chaos, Maru and Kiruko finally get the lead that changes everything. They show a photo around describing the two men they're hunting and someone recognizes it instantly. That's Dr. Inazaki, Robin, alive. Spent time in this exact settlement 2 years ago, studying Usami's surgical techniques before vanishing one day without saying goodbye. Kiruko doesn't even try to hide the reaction. Robin's alive. I knew you had to be. I'm gonna find you. Later that same evening, Kiruko brings up whether they should actually stick around to guard Usami. Figured if he can pay them in information, there's no real downside. Before they can even settle on it, a gunshot cuts through the building. They rush toward it and find him already gone. Took his own life right there, not long after burying Hoshio. It's in that wreckage that Maru finally says the thing he's clearly been sitting with for a while. Quiet, almost ashamed. I can't help people. My hands only bring death. Kiruko doesn't let that stand for a second. Don't you dare say that. When you kill man-eaters, that means they can't kill anyone else. Your hands are saving everyone. It's not a pep talk. She means every word of it. Back at the sealed school, grief takes a different shape entirely. Kona sees Asura again. It's a flashback here, but almost like a visitation. Asura says she's finally come to understand why she was born, and that she's come to say goodbye. Kona begs her not to go, insists she's not alone, lists off every friend she's got left. Asura's answer is gentle and devastating at once. You'll find someone to love. But I love you. I'm talking about a different kind of love. Something even more special. Open your heart to it. Then she's gone. Tokyo and Mimihime notice how alone Kona seems afterward. He's the only one left in his entire year now. And Kona is left with something he can't explain. A dead certainty that whoever took Asura is coming for Tokyo next. He just knows. The same instinctive way he seemed to know things before. And it hits him hard enough that he sets off determined to protect her from it, even without knowing who or what what he's actually protecting her from. New students arrive not long after, a fresh group of 14-year-olds, a new set of 5-year-olds joining the nursery, and the staff quietly note this is likely the last group they'll ever bring in. Nobody explains why. Around the same time, Kiruko and Maru find a button on Usami carrying the exact same bird and diamond logo as Kiruko's gun. Not a coincidence, a thread, one that leads straight toward the town where Usami used to live. While they're on the road, an earthquake hits, a big one, strong enough that Maru and Kiruko have to scramble just to stay on their feet as something nearby actually starts collapsing. Once the shaking stops, Kiruko doesn't waste the moment mourning it. She immediately clocks it as opportunity. A freshly wrecked building means locks that don't need picking anymore, and anything valuable just sitting there for the taking. She figures they can loot it clean before any local resource collectors even hear about it and beat them to it. Out on the road, they run into a man already poking around the same wreckage. Wichi, scavenging for anything worth salvaging. He's cagey at first, assumes they're bandits, and tries to talk his way out of trouble, insisting he's got nothing worth stealing. Maru and Kiruko pick up an unlikely guide, a wandering storyteller who trades folklore for coin around a campfire, spinning the usual competing myths about what actually caused the great disaster. A comet, aliens, or a hidden war. None of it is confirmed. All of it is entertainment. Right up until Yuichi tells one story that isn't a myth at all. Getting him to that point costs them too. He clocks the gun on Kiruko's hip immediately, refuses to haggle with someone armed, and settles for information in exchange for a tip instead, milking the moment for all the drama he can squeeze out of it before he finally agrees to talk. For 10 years, starting at age 12, he was a prisoner in a place called Waldorf Town, a settlement ruled entirely by hostile women who captured healthy men wandering too close and kept them as breeding stock. Huichi wasn't Huichi there, he was boar number 11. One woman kept requesting him specifically, again and again, until she got pregnant. Sons born there were raised as future breeding pigs. Daughters were accepted as citizens. When her son was born, she and her partner planned an escape, the three of them, plus Huichi. Slipping out under cover of darkness, they were caught. The couple was executed, strung up outside the walls as a warning. Huichi was the only one who got away. He spent the year since carrying the guilt of not knowing whether his own son ever survived what came after. At night, Aoshima pulls Tokyo aside for another checkup. Scan comes back clean, no illness is detected, but she notes signs of fatigue and tells her to rest, nothing alarming on the surface. Just another quiet, everything's fine, right before this place proves it very much isn't. In the morning, Shiro asks why she's always seen staring at the ceiling. Mimiheim finally admits what she's actually been staring at all this time whenever people catch her spacing out. Not the ceiling, not dust in the air, something floating, something with light to it, and as far as she can tell, she's the only one who can see it at all. In class, Tokyo's seat stays empty. The teacher addresses it briefly, telling the class not to worry. She'll be back soon, no further explanation given. That's the end of it as far as the other kids are concerned, and class moves on like nothing happened. After all that back and forth over stories and payment, it turns out Juichi wasted their time on nothing. The whole logo they'd been chasing was staring them in the face the entire time. Confirming that gun logo leads them to an abandoned building bearing the same symbol, Takahara Academy. Not just any orphanage, a whole network, 2 main facilities, 18 branches, marketed as a place for tired minds and bodies to rest. The pamphlet inside describes the outside world in exactly the same language the director back at Tokyo's school used, a hell of patience. And if the outside is hell, what's the opposite of hell supposed to be? That single detail turns Kiruko and Maru's entire journey in the sealed school storyline into the same story. Not proof yet, but the first real thread, tying their journey to the sealed school. At the same all-staff meeting, the director opens with an announcement of her own. She's naming Oshima as assistant director, effective immediately, with full level 4 clearance. Teruhiko doesn't take it well, pushing back and asking outright why she was the one chosen for this promotion. The director doesn't soften it, because I know her to be this organization's most trustworthy member. Teruhiko, who'd clearly expected that position for himself, doesn't hide how badly the snub lands. In the next moment, director declares that it turns out that Tokyo is pregnant, too young. No sex education was ever given to any of these kids. Nobody knows who the father is, or how this happened at all inside a facility that monitors every second of physical contact between its students. It's treated less like a private matter and more like an existential threat to the entire institution. Afterward, Juichi doesn't stop at the story. He admits he wants to go back, not just for his son, but for revenge against the women who held him for 10 years and executed the couple who tried to help him escape. He can't do it alone and asks outright for help. Kiruko agrees without hesitation. The mission becomes 2 things at once: find out if the baby's alive and help him settle a year-old debt. On the road toward Waldorf Town, earthquake damage has wrecked the roads, adding hours they don't have. Getting close to Waldorf Town comes with its own warning too. Women there reportedly despise large chests enough that some have mutilated themselves just to blend blend in and survive. Since walking in with an obvious man would make everything worse, Huichi offers a fix instead. Dress Maru up as a woman, padding and all, so he can pass. Kiruko can't resist teasing him through the whole process, adjusting the padding, calling him sis, telling him he looks great, asking who's cuter between the two of them, before answering her own question with him. Maru, mortified, accuses her of being jealous. She just laughs it off. This is all fake, and they finally head into the settlement. It's not just abandoned, it's wrecked. Furniture overturned, walls torn open, the kind of damage that says something violent happened here, not a slow decline. They find a journal, incomplete, cutting off mid-entry with nothing but a date and a scribble. Whatever interrupted that sentence, it happened fast. Then the temperature drops, hard. A man-eater with a freezing attack is somewhere close, tracking them before either of them even spots it. The first real contact is fast and messy. It strikes, then bolts, vanishing before they can land anything solid on it. Maru and Kiruko run for it, putting distance between themselves and the cold, until Kiruko stops, turns around, and goes straight back after it instead. The fight that follows is genuinely disorienting. The cold intensifies the nearer you get to the source, fades the further you move away, which means actually hunting it down means walking straight toward the pain. Kiruko finally corners it and manages to land a real hit, but the creature splits on impact, and the half holding the actual core gets away, leaving her with nothing but a piece of it. No baby. No survivors at all, not even the women who ran this place. Just a man-eater nest where a town used to be. Kiruko has to be the one to tell Juichi the truth. Nobody's here. His enemies, his former partner, all of it gone, but she doesn't let him spiral into assuming the worst about his son. It could be fine. Maybe they just moved on before this thing moved in. She's right to hold out hope. Not long after, two of Yuichi's fellow former captives recognize him on the road and deliver the actual ending. After his escape, the two women holding them were executed for unrelated reasons. Chaos broke out when the baby started crying, and in the middle of that panic, a man-eater attacked the building and blasted a hole straight through the outer wall. Everyone escaped through it. Huichi's son, Jugo, is alive, healthy, and waiting to meet the father he's never known. The reunion is warm, messy, genuinely happy. The first real, uncomplicated good ending this stretch of story has offered anyone. There's a proper meal, a hot bath, and for one night, it actually feels like this journey delivered something instead of just costing something. It doesn't last. That same night, the settlement gets hit by another freezing attack. Sudden, chaotic, people scrambling in the dark trying to find each other. In the chaos, Juichi's nowhere to be found, and neither is Jugo. Someone runs straight into the danger zone anyway, against every warning that the cold has a lethal center point, and it very nearly gets them killed before they're pulled back out just in time. In the middle of it, Kiruko finds Jugo, scoops him up, and gets him clear of the freezing center before it's too late, not yet realizing the baby she's carrying to safety is the actual source of the cold. And then the reveal lands, quiet and horrifying all at once. The creature causing the freezing attacks isn't some separate man-eater lurking nearby. It's Jugo, the baby. Huichi's own son is somehow, impossibly, part man-eater, producing that cold without any control over it, without even understanding what he's doing. Maru's the one who puts it together, recognizing the presence the same way he recognizes every other man-eater he's ever hunted. Once everyone understands what's actually happening, the attacks stop on their own. Somewhere in that same stretch of night, back at the school, Tokyo finally sends word to Kona herself. The first real update since she was pulled from class. Reassurance that whatever's inside her will be removed soon, and that once it's done, she'll finally get to come back and see him again. Tender on the surface, except nothing about what's actually growing inside a teenage girl. At a sealed facility obsessed with monitoring every second of physical contact is ordinary at all. Huichi ultimately decides to stay behind with his son's new community rather than keep traveling. Trades Maru and Kiruko his car for a stash of expired medicine, and they part on genuinely good terms, one of the only clean goodbyes this story's given anyone so far. Back at the school, a new semester opens with Aoshima giving her first speech as assistant director, welcoming in a fresh batch of 5-year-olds. Vague, a little unsettling, something about trusting your heart no matter what happens. Underneath it, in fragments, is someone else's memory. Someone who escaped this same place once, still carrying guilt over who got left behind. At Waldorf Town, Juichi doesn't say goodbye quietly. Turns out one of the men in the group, the same men who welcomed him back, threw him a party, helped raise his son in his absence, was responsible for what happened to Jugo's mother. Huichi finds him, kills him without hesitation, then takes the car and disappears with Jugo before anyone else even realizes what's happened. Alright, that's it for today. I'll meet you in some time.